أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسول أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. First reading is from chapter 47, verses 31 to 35. وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ حَتَّى نَعْلَمَ الْمُجَاهِدِينَ مِنكُمْ وَالصَّابِرِينَ وَنَبْلُوَ أَخْبَارَكُمْ إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كفروا وصدوا عن سبيل الله وشاقوا الرسول من بعد ما تبين لهم الهدى لن يضروا الله شيئا وسيحبط أعمالهم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول ولا تبطلوا أعمالكم إن الذين كفروا وصدوا عن سبيل الله ثم ماتوا وهم كفار فلن يغفر الله لهم فلا تهنوا وتدعوا إلى السلم وأنتم الأعلون والله معكم ولن يتركم أعمالكم. And certainly we will try you till we know those among you who strive hard and the steadfast and manifest your views. Surely those who disbelieve and hinder men from Allah's way and oppose the messenger after guidance is quite clear to them, cannot harm Allah in any way, and He will make their deeds fruitless. And you, O you who believe, obey Allah and obey the messenger and make not your deeds vain. Surely those who disbelieve and hinder men from Allah's way, then die disbelievers, Allah will not forgive them. And be not slack so as to cry for peace, and you are the uppermost. And Allah is with you, and He will not bring your deeds to naught. The other verse I will just recite the English translation. This is chapter 2, verses 153 to 156. O you who believe, seek assistance through patience and prayer, Surely Allah is with the patient. And speak not of those who are slain in Allah's way as dead. No, they are alive, but you perceive not. And we shall certainly try you with something of fear and hunger and loss of property and lives and fruits, and give good news to the patient, who, when a misfortune befalls them, they say, surely we are Allah's, and to Him we shall return. Those are they on whom are blessings and mercy from their Lord, and those are the followers path. I have recited these Quran because members of our community in a country that I will not name have been threatened with all kinds of uh, difficulties, to put it mildly, if they do not give up being Lahori MDs. They've been threatened, their families have been threatened. With everything: death, persecution, beatings, and so on. But the president of the community there has sent me text messages to say that they are standing fast and that they'll continue to be members of this organization, whatever difficulties they have to face. Because this is the history of the world for those who want to change it. There are others who want to retain the status quo because it's in their interest. The Holy Prophet was persecuted. We know he was threatened with death. At one stage, the Muslims in Makkah were in such difficulty that they had to leave Makkah and take refuge on a mountain just outside Makkah. And people were people were forbidden to provide them food or water. And the situation became so critical that people had to eat leaves from trees and tree bark just to try and survive. But eventually, they were victorious. The Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was threatened with death, with martyrdom. But look at the man. He didn't just run away from Medina, leaving the rest of the community behind. He got every single member of the community out of Makkah before he left with his friend, Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq Radhiyallahu Ta'ala. He was the last one to leave, the last two to leave. And as they hid in the cave, and the Makkans got to the mouth of the cave, Hazrat Abu Bakr Radhiyallahu Ta'ala became afraid and said to the Holy Prophet, "Who will save us now? There is only two of us, and there is a whole horde of them outside." And the Holy Prophet said, No, we are not two, we are three. Inna Allaha ma'ana. Allah is with us. And of course, He is the greatest protector. Through all the ups and downs, He stood fast. But those were disbelievers who were persecuting the Holy Prophet Muhammad. Have Muslims not persecuted their own holy men? Who martyred Hazrat Imam Hassan? Who martyred Hazrat Imam Hussain? Both of the Holy Prophet's grandsons were martyred. Hazrat Imam Hussain had only a few people, just his family members with him. And the whole of the Muslim world had turned against him. The Muslim government, the Muslim army, it was the Muslim army who slaughtered that small band of believers. But as the verse that I recited says, that those who die in Allah's way, and speak not of those who die in Allah's way, who were slain in Allah's way, as having died. They are alive, but you cannot see. But the story didn't end with Hazrat Imam Hussain. Hazrat Imam Abu Hanifa, he was put in prison. He was hung by his hands for such a long. Who did that? A Muslim government. Imam Bukhari. Now we laud him and say what a great man he was and what great service to Islam he did. But towards the end of his life, Imam Bukhari was heard to cry, "Oh Allah, your land is so vast. Why is it that it has become so small for me that I cannot find peace and security anywhere?" And today we call them Hazrat and we say Rahmatullah alayh and so on. But we persecuted them. And some, as I said, we killed. And this tradition, Sayyid Ahmad Shaheed, he rose up in India to try and protect Muslims from the persecution they were facing in the Punjab. But the position of his army was betrayed by who? By Muslims. And Sikhs fell upon his army and slaughtered everyone. These are all our own glorious deeds. Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, Rahmatullah alayh, the promised Messiah, he was persecuted. False reports would be sent to the government that he is not paying income tax. False reports would be registered against him that he is carried out someone's murder or he was planning someone's murder. The police was raiding his home continuously on one excuse, on another, on reports by Muslims. And what was he doing? He was defending Muslims. He was defending Islam by holding debates and challenging non-Muslims to come and debate with him in public openly. The Christians and, Arya Samaj, and everyone else. The least Muslims could have done was to stand on one side and at least not waste his time. But he used to get abusive mail by the sackload every day. And as I said, false reports against him to authorities to have him imprisoned or even hanged. There was also, amongst the others who were persecuted, Sabzada Abdul Latif, who was an Afghani. And he went to he came from Afghanistan to India. He met Hazrat Sahib. He joined the Jamaat, and then he went back to Afghanistan. And he was arrested. A pit was dug in a field. He was buried in that pit up to his waist, and he was stoned to death. And to his dying breath, he still said he was an Ahmadi. There were riots in 1953 in Pakistan. My own grandfather's house was surrounded by a mob who were going to set it alight and burn my grandfather and my grandmother, burn them alive inside the house. It was their neighbors, non-Ahmadi neighbors, who actually saved them. So there are good people in every community. And then there were riots in 1974. And the same thing happened to many Ahmadis. Their houses were surrounded by mobs and set on fire. And they were burnt alive. Some of them were saved, like Hazrat Amir, the late Dr. Sayyid Ahmad Khan Sahib, because his son was in the army. When he heard that mob was gathering, he sent an army contingent. And these great mujahids, when they saw the army coming, they all ran away. They were very brave when there were innocent men and children in the house who they were going to burn alive. But as soon as someone came with some firepower, they dispersed. And this has continued to this day in different forms in different countries. At least twice we have been attacked, but fortunately we were protected by the British police. One time was in Wembley, in the conference center there, where a meeting was being held against Ahmadis, and I turned up there and we were distributing leaflets, and people tried to grab us and beat us and so on. And my children ran and got the police, who came and rescued me. Another time it was in Hyde Park. But people saw the police there. And although they were very aggressive verbally, when they saw the police, they didn't actually physically attack us. So this thing continues. But the question is, why? And the reason is this, that we are a revolutionary organization. We want to change the world. We want to change the Muslim world. We want to change their thinking. We want to change the way they behave. But this is against the interests of the hierarchy that leads the Muslim world. And that's why they persecute us and try and kill us. And they will continue. But this cannot go on for long, because the world's eyes will open, the Muslims' own eyes will open to the truth. And they will see, and they are seeing, that if Islam is to not survive, but also to spread and be propagated and prosper, and Muslims are to prosper, they have no choice but to follow the Lahore Ahmadiyya movement. For example, in those countries where Muslims are in a majority, they're told, pick up the sword, go out and kill non-Muslims, such as Hindus and Sikhs and Christians and so on, or frame false charges against them. And this is regarded as a very good deed. But will they do that in India? Pick up the sword and go out and try and kill the non-Muslim majority? How about England? They pay agents thousands of pounds to get into Europe, to England, America, and so on. Illegally or legally, they're not concerned. Will they pick up a gun and a sword and go and kill the non-Muslims who live in these countries? And then they look very innocently and they say, why is there Islamophobia? What do they expect? A man goes from England to United States. He breaks into a synagogue and holds the people hostage who've gathered there for their prayers and threatens to kill them. It's all over radio, television, internet, everywhere. Would those people love you after seeing that or hate you? This is your definition of jihad that you're using. What service has that done to Islam? The only people who are succeeding, whether it's in Europe or America or Canada or wherever, are those who are following the promised Messiah's definition of jihad. But a duty lies upon us as well. And that is that we have to struggle and work hard to take the message of Islam to Muslims and non-Muslims. To Muslims, we have to explain why their ideas are wrong. Whether it's about jihad, whether it is about rights and position of women, whether it's about rights of non-Muslims, the list is a long one. And the only interpretation, the only teaching of Islam that can succeed, that will succeed, is the one that we put forward. Regardless of whether you exterminate us or not, you will have no choice at all, but to follow what the promised Messiah, Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, said. And whether you believe us or not, that is sufficient proof of the truth of his claim that he came to save the Muslims. About Afghanistan, he predicted that because of the heinous crimes that were committed on its soil, it will suffer bloodshed for many, many years to come. And since that day, it is nearly 200 years, there has not been one day of peace in Afghanistan. It's been invaded, it's been pillaged, it's been plundered, it's been destroyed, it's been bombed by many different powers. The British, the Russians, the Americans, and the list goes on. So I say to my brothers in this country, join and be proud that you have joined the list of the righteous ones who were persecuted, who were denied their rights, who were threatened with death, and some of them were actually killed. Today I have asked the Jamaats across the world to pray for them, that Allah may keep them safe, save them from trials, and give them the strength to be steadfast in their beliefs, as they have been so far. So I will request you to say a special prayer for the Lahori Ahmadis in this country who are under the sentence of death in this country. Barakallahu lana wa lakum fil Qur'anil Azim wa nafa'ana wa iyyakum bil ayati wa zikril hakim innahu ta'ala jawadun kareemun malikun barraufur rahim. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillahi nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa nu'minu bihi wa natawakkalu alayhi wa na'udzu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina man yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa man yudlilhu fala hadiya lahu wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Allahumma barik ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin kama barakta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Allahumma ansur man nasara dina Muhammadin sallallahu alayhi wa sallam waj'alna minhum. اللهم اخذل من خذل دين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم ولا تجعلنا منهم. عباد الله رحمكم الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون. الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. ألهاكم التكاثر حتى زرتم المقابر كلا سوف تعلمون ثم كلا سوف تعلمون كلا لو تعلمون علم اليقين لترون الجحيم ثم لترونها عين اليقين ثم لتسألن يومئذ عن النعيم. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة. اللهم إنك السلام ومنك السلام. Thank you for joining us for our Friday service. And I repeat my request to you that in your 5 daily prayers, please continue to pray for our friends in this country who are under severe persecution and threats of death and so on. May Allah keep everyone, the whole of humanity, whoever it is and wherever they may be, free from harm and safe and sound. Assalamu alaikum, Khuda Hafiz, goodbye.